Welcome back to Creepy Kitty Creations. I've got a fun one for you today with one of my favourite game monsters from Kingdom Hearts, the White Mushroom Heartless. I just always loved this one because they were adorable and I thought they would make a cute doll. So let's get started. So first we're going to do all the normal doll prep. I don't have any Catty Noir or darker skinned Monster High dolls, so we'll be using a Claudine. I felt okay giving this Claudine a skin change because she's got some black marks on her arms anyway. So we're going to start off cutting her hair as close to the root as possible, first with some big scissors, then with some little ones. Get that as close as we can, and dunk her in some boiling water to pop her head off. Remember to use a thick towel or you'll burn your fingers. Then we're just going to use some needle nose pliers to scrape off some of those plugs and rip them out of the neck hole, which is oddly cathartic and disgusting at the same time. Ugh, that's disgusting. Then we're going to take her face off with 100% acetone. I always hate this part because I wear black nail polish and I always manage to take my nail polish off and I get black all over the doll, so I'm actually just going to quickly take those off with quite amazing nail polish remover from DB brand. You just stick your finger in there and even the toughest nail polish will come off in seconds. It's amazing. Bit off topic there, but really helpful when you're taking the face off the doll and you don't want to get black nail polish all over her face. So once she's all clean, we'll give her a rinse with warm soapy water and leave her to dry for a day before spraying her with Mr. Super Clear. So this gives us time to start preparing the body. So I'm going to lightly sand her with a nail buffer. This just gets rid of the gloss coat and gives the doll a bit more tooth for the pastel, which is super important since I'm going to be changing her skin tone so drastically. And it was right about here where I realised I forgot to spray her with Mr. Super Clear. I continued for quite a while, but I'm going to skip all that, save you some time, because it didn't work. If that ever happens to you, don't continue, just take it all off with acetone and start again, because it doesn't work. Here I'm using Sharpie, which is universally hated in a lot of doll customizing circles, but it actually worked really well here, especially for inside the joints, even as awkward placed as they are. And it just stopped them from scraping off because it's tougher and harder wearing than the pastel. One thing I do note, don't use this on the vinyl head because it will just bleed into the vinyl and it will never come off, and the last thing you want is to ruin your face up. So I actually covered her entire foot with Sharpie because unfortunately on a lot of the dolls that I body blush, the feet, the pastel on the feet chip off, and it's my pet peeve. It annoys me and I'm not sure how to fix it, so I thought for this one I would just colour her whole foot in Sharpie, and then I needed to do 3 to 4 more coats so that it didn't look like she was wearing a black sock. So the 3 or 4 coats did the trick. You can still see it if you look really closely, but I'm pretty happy with that. Just added on some slight blushing before remembering that I need to cut her ears off. I usually use a scalpel, but I couldn't find it, so I used this box cutter. But first I thought I'd show you how slowly I was working before speeding up. Be very careful. It was quite awkward and I just kept having visions of slicing off part of my finger, but it went well. Her ears came off. I'll save them for another project. And we're left with these unsightly holes in her head, which I filled in with hot glue off camera. So now we can paint her head black because I'll be giving her black hair. The Heartless in the original game doesn't actually have hair, they've just got a cute little round head. I did still want to give her hair. So for the face up, this was one of the most difficult face ups I've ever done. Painting on a very dark face was very difficult, especially getting it to show up on the camera. So I started off using a lighter pencil, a light yellow, and started sketching out the eye shape, which actually took a little bit more effort getting them symmetrical than the last few times. So you'll see me erase a lot. Basically the first half of this face up is what not to do. Because it was so difficult, I wanted to show you what I did wrong first, so that maybe it will help you if you ever paint a Cat Noir or any of the black-skinned Monster High dolls, because it is definitely more challenging than the lighter tones, but they just come out so cute. It's definitely worth it. Did her eyebrows with yellow as well. They actually came out not too bad this time. I was really happy with them. And then I sketched out her basic eye shape. And then filled them in. And the whites, just to get a good base layer, because I know that everything will fade quite significantly once I spray it with Mr. Super Clear. And I was a bit anxious doing this face up because I had no plan. I only knew that I wanted to give her yellow eyes and yellow eyeshadow, like the original game character has just these little beady glowing yellow eyes, which are so cute, and I thought, how would these look if she were human? So I thought having yellow eyeshadow would kind of simulate that glow, but she had to have the same yellow eyes for me. The blush and pastels came out, when you first put them on, they come out looking really bright, but trust me, they do dull down when you spray it. It was actually really hard to build up colour. And the first pass at the yellow eyeshadow. I like to paint the whites of the eye fairly early, so then, because when you wet a watercolour pencil and fill it in, that does usually come out quite blobby. So I find that it helps to do it early on so that you can cover it with more pastel and other colours, and it just smooths that out quite nicely. I hope you like the background music selection. I tried to find the most video gamey ones that I could find. I always love on the old PlayStation 2 games that you can always tell when an enemy comes, because when you're usually walking around the area, it's got this nice light and floaty atmospheric music, and then when there's a monster nearby, it just suddenly picks up and gets this nice sort of rock action music. So I tried to simulate that. Now, you know how I said that it would dull down? It didn't. So the Acrylics powder was still really hardcore even after I sprayed it, so I went over it with black just to basically put it back to what it was before, because it didn't do what it usually does. And rather than continuing my struggle with building up the colour for the eyeshadow, I saw on YouTube and some forums about putting down white first along the eyes and where you want to build up some colour, and that it will make your colours more vibrant. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Just put down some white pan pastel over the lips and the eyes where I want her eyeshadow and blush to be more vibrant. She looks kind of like a reverse panda at the moment. So yeah, unfortunately all the work I've done on her up until now as far as the pastels was a complete waste of time. That was a bit disheartening at this stage. I almost gave up on her a few times up till this point. And her eyebrows have already disappeared. So you know how I hate doing eyebrows? I had to do them about 5 times on one doll. So you can imagine how happy I was. So I gave up and went to colour pencil since the pastel just kept wanting to pull a disappearing act. And as you can see, all of the white pan pastel basically disappeared. It did still help a little bit with getting a more vibrant colour, but yeah, it will take a few layers, especially if you want more vibrant colours than what I've got here. So I started doing a lot of the shape of the eye, the eyeliner, eye wrinkles in a light grey because black, brown, none of those were showing up properly. So I used these to get the basic lines and shapes that I was wanting so that you could actually see them. I thought that because this particular character has a red hat, it could look really cool if she had some red winged eyeliner. So I started doing that here. Unfortunately, I don't know, because it was a darker skin tone, the dark red wanted to show quite pink or peachy, so it didn't quite match the colour of the hat. So I just keep doing a few passes at that to hopefully darken and make that a deeper, richer red. And then I went in with black. I've seen some people on Instagram do some really cool things with makeup, so I was wanting to experiment here a bit. I thought maybe doing some black eyeliner with the red outline could look cool. Then just filling in her eye colour with wet watercolour, which looks really blobby and I hated it. But I did it on the one eye already, so I had to do it on the other eye to keep things symmetrical. But yeah, it's blobby and patchy and I'm definitely going to have to fix it. I lost count of how many times I had to redo the pastel over her lips because the colour just kept fading. So you'll see me go back over the lips and the blushing quite a lot over this entire video. In the game, the Heartless is completely black, but I wanted to give her some texture to her skin and some blush, because she's an adorable little mushroom and I think that she should have some cute blush to go with it. And then just doing some black pastel and shading on the eyes and lips. I find that the eyes, unless you want to go for a more cartoony look, which is also beautiful, but I like to go towards realistic, so I do black shading inside the eyes to give the eyeball more dimension before going back in with yellows and doing the eyeshadow. Which the struggle was real in building up this colour. It just took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of blending. And of course, it wouldn't be one of my face-up makeup looks without shiny white Pearl-X powder on the inner corner of the eye. I do this all the time with my own makeup, and I find that it just brightens the whole look. It makes your eyes look bright, and I just find it adorable. I first learnt about it when YouTubing Korean fashion and Korean makeup, and I've just loved it ever since. It looks pretty intense now, but it's going to, there we go, once we do our spray of Mr. Super Clear. And just keep pasteling over those eyes to try and get rid of that blobby, but at this stage, it's not working out too good. Sorry if the pasteling gets a wee bit repetitive. I wanted to give an accurate portrayal of exactly how many times I did need to go over the pastel for this look, just so you're prepared for if you ever customize this type of doll as well. Be prepared for the many layers. I wanted to give a little bit more dimension to the eyeshadow look, so I do actually go in with a bit of a reddy orange in the outer corner. Pastel and Pearl-X powder are definitely winning the MVP award for this face up. I use it multiple times. Her skin, when you put it in the sun by the end of her face up, is so sparkly and pretty. And I ended up going in with a wet brush and gold Pearl-X powder and going in for the main colour of her eye. It ended up much less blobby, and it gave her that nice glowing look that I was going after, just to make it a closer portrayal of the original character. So now the colours are starting to look a bit more vibrant. I'm going back in with some black pastel to reintroduce some of that shading for the eyeball and the iris, and I'll need to redraw her eyeliner. And just bringing her eyebrows back out again. I've lost count of how many times they either entirely or partially disappeared. So I'm going to go in with a wet brush and black watercolour to do her eyeliner. I chickened out of the red eyeliner and just went in with standard black. Maybe I should change my name from Creepy Kitty to Creepy Chicken. I love doing big winged eyeliner for my own makeup, so I do this a lot for my other dolls, but I wanted to make them particularly nice big wings for this doll because I thought it would suit her cat eye shape. Again, just like with human makeup, getting the wings even was a nightmare. Now I'm just bringing out the waterline again and adding some highlights. And also some shading with a darker red. And some highlights with a yellow pencil on her eyelid and shadows with a black watercolor pencil. And then just going in, I originally wasn't going to give her any pupils, but it just didn't look quite right, so I'm going in with black and giving her some pupils and going in with some eye detail like what I usually do. And then going in with some really light yellow watercolor pencil and white with a wet paintbrush. I use a nail art paintbrush because I find they come a lot smaller than your traditional paintbrushes and they work really well for just really fine lines. I wanted to give her a wee circular ring around her pupil like what you see with party lenses or the contact lenses that you see people wearing when they cosplay. I have always thought that they look really, really cool. I'm just going in and doing some lines on the lips with watercolor pencil and white watercolor pencil and just bringing out some more highlights. So this is with the white watercolor pencil just to bring out those highlights and make them more striking. Especially along little dots along the waterline. Even though her hair is black, I did really want to give her lighter eyebrows so that her expression could be seen. I was originally going to put glitter in her pupil, but it looked a wee bit overpowering for me, so I ended up ditching that idea. And now for her lower lashes. I didn't paint her upper lashes because A, I hate doing them, and B, she's going to have some lovely 3D lashes, which I did off camera, just because it's very time consuming, and I think I've showed that in my mini-me video. And now we're just glossing the eyes with Vallejo high gloss. And now back to the body. She is a Heartless, so I did want to draw the Heartless emblem on her chest. The Heartless in the game has it on the outfit or the sort of cloak that it wears, but she's going to have her own different styled outfit for this one, so I wanted to do it on her skin. So that she matches the face up, I do some highlights on the body using gold Pearlex powder, which looks really hardcore here, but again it will become more subtle once it's got the Mr. Super Clear over it. And then to make that stand out, after sketching it in just in regular watercolour, I go in with wet watercolour to make it more vibrant and stand out better. This is actually using my darkest red. It's supposed to be a really deep red, and it just kept up showing light pink. But I put the head back on the body. I meant to do it sooner to avoid this, and I completely forgot, so it completely chipped around her neckline. So I had to take the time to mask off her head and her body so that I could do some more layers of pan pastel and try and fix it. So with the outfit, I actually started off with her shoes, which I just used some standard Monster High shoes that I just repainted to be in the Heartless colours, red and black. Just using your standard acrylic paint. It took about 2 to 3 layers, waiting 20 minutes between each layer to dry. So while we wait for that to dry, I move on to the hair. So I did yarn wefts like I usually do, but instead of making a wig, I actually glued it directly onto the head this time, which I don't do very often, but it was an interesting process. I found it a lot more nerve-wracking than I do for wig making, because I knew if I made a mistake, well, it's already on the doll and not really any way to fix it, so I tried to be really careful when I was placing my wefts. At this stage I hadn't actually decided how I wanted to part her hair, but I thought a side part would look really cute because I was originally thinking of giving her a bob, so I thought a side swept bob would look really cute. And then to do the parting, you need to glue the hair down in the opposite direction so that it makes a nice clean part when you flip it. I don't know if I can show it really well here, but if you were looking for a really clear video, I actually learnt how to make doll wigs and doll hair from Mozekyto's yarn wig tutorial. I'll link it below. It is absolutely amazing. Definitely a must watch for anyone who makes yarn wigs, in my opinion. And you want to do the second side while the glue is still wet so that you can push it as close to the already flipped side as possible so that you get that nice clean part. So she's had glad wrap over her head to try and get that part nice and flat, and I'm just going to trim the ends with an eyebrow razor just to get it a bit tidier. And even though I originally planned on giving her a bob, once I had the hair all long like this, I thought it was really cute, so I ended up keeping it that way and just used this little tiny doll hairpin that I got off AliExpress to clip her bangs to the side and make her beret. So this is her finished beret. I actually have a free pattern for this, hopefully it works, in the description below. Now the Heartless has this cute little spiral design on her hat, so I wanted to do that as well, just so that it would look as close to the original design as possible. So I do that using fabric paint. This was actually the second time I made this beret. I made it initially first with a band that was a lot tighter because I made the rookie mistake of measuring her head before I did her hair. So by the time her hair was all glued on, the hat was too small, so I had to unpick the band, and thankfully not the entire hat, but just sew a new band on. So on the pattern in the description below, the measurement provided is in the right scale for the main hat, but you will want to probably add on 5 centimeters to the band length. And here we have the finished doll. I made the outfit off camera by hand. I wanted a cute sort of Lolita baby doll look, so I made her a little lace baby doll dress with some little lacy knickerbockers with elastic at the knee. I really wanted her to look sweet and innocent and light, so I did them in the same colour as the original Heartless's dress, but I wanted to add a wee bit of my own flair to her design and make her a bit cute and Lolita-esque. So she also has a Heartless apron because she needs to have that wee Heartless logo on her chest like the original design, and I thought an apron could just look so sweet with her little hat. And her wee little hat just completes the look. Now I put a wee rose in there as a clip to keep the hat on, but also because this Heartless has really special memories for me. I used to play this game with my twin sister for hours, and my fondest memories are of playing games with her, and I always remember this Heartless popping up in Wonderland in the Rose Garden, so I wanted to bring that in. Which brings us to our bonus video, which is a custom stand for our wee little White Mushroom Heartless. So I started off with a Monster High stand. You'll need hot glue, some wire and some wire cutters. So we're going to make her a saddle stand. So I just doubled this up so that we've got nice soft edges. It does take a bit of manipulation to get it right. So you just want to turn it up like a saddle. So that the doll can essentially sit on it, and this was because I changed her skin tone and I knew that if I had a stand that clipped onto her waist, it would just keep scratching away at that pastel, which I didn't want. I spent a lot of time on that pastel and I would like it to stay where I put it. So saddle stand it is. So just keep testing the height on the doll so I know where to cut it. And once that's done, I just fill in the hole with hot glue. Don't worry about being too neat at this stage because I'll be covering it with fabric later. So then just go back in there and make sure the stand is nice and secure in the hot glue while it dries. I've done all this on silicone so that the glue doesn't stick to anything. And now I'm just using this template that I got off AliExpress, and I want the stand to be a little bit bigger, so I'm filling that in with hot glue because Milliput is quite expensive here and hot glue is $2 for all of those really long lengths, so it works out much cheaper if you're in New Zealand. And I go over the main stand with hot glue as well just to make sure it's all secure. Test the height again just to make sure that's all right. And then just pop it out. And I got some black fabric, cut it to size, and we're just going to glue that on there. Fasten it at the back, which I misjudged the size and it didn't cross all the way, but that's not going to be a biggie because we're going to glue on some embellishments later. So we're just going to glue and tuck under the stand and until we get that nice sort of oval shape with the fabric. And I burnt myself many times. Please be careful with the hot glue guns, everyone. It really hurts when you burn your fingers. Just a little spot of glue and tiny tucks there for the more stubborn of round corners. If the fabric's too big, don't be scared to cut it. I ended up cutting the second layer, because the one thing I was always taught when I did sewing at high school was reduce the bulk. Or if you've got a layer that you can cut out, do, and it will make everything sit in a lot nicer. I have a love-hate relationship with hot glue. I love that you can use it and it sticks really quickly, especially with these flowers. I wanted to simulate the rose garden at Wonderland, but it does leave all these little stringy strings that you need to pull off later, and they irritate me. So I went in with mostly red roses, but also some black and really dark purple ones. The rose garden in Wonderland has quite a few different types of flowers, and I wanted to make that quite accurate. So this should hopefully tie in very nicely with her wee hat, and of course cover up my lack of fabric at the back of the stand. It also covers up the join where the saddle stand connects to the Monster High base. And this is the finished stand with the finished doll. I really hope you like her. I think she's a new particular favourite of mine. She's just so nostalgic. I've always loved this character, and she was actually quite a lot of fun to make. Especially her frilly wee outfit. I love making frilly lacy outfits. So one of my favourite things about this Heartless is that it doesn't attack you, it plays charades, which was just so cute. So you need to cast magic depending on what it's saying, which is just adorable. So I hope you like that. If you want to see more creepy kitty creations, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye!